Okay, so I had to pause for a moment. So as I'm saying, I may or may not edit this out. I really want to get this information out to you. I'm not trying to be perfect today. That would defeat the whole purpose in what I'm talking about, this energy that's coming in. But as I'm saying, if you have these root issues of not feeling safe, especially for those of us women, I've been speaking about women a lot and going through the awakening and what that's like for a woman. But what happens is we attract situations and persons in our life that mirror the lack of safety that we feel within ourselves. So if that's you, then this mirror is here to help you make adjustments to your own self. Okay? This is not about us trying to mold anybody else, and I get it. If someone is doing something that causes you to feel emotionally dysregulated and therefore unsafe or judged or criticized, then you want to try to moderate their emotions so that you feel more comfortable. I get it, but that's working outside in, and that's how you end up exhausted and depleted. So what you want to do is shift your energy to, what can I do to feel more safe? What can I do for myself to feel safe and feel grounded and feel like I can trust my process? I can trust me. This full moon is definitely going to be bringing up areas where we don't trust, where we have difficulty trusting. And so if you're having your childhood traumas mirrored back to you, that's a reason to be grateful. Why? Because the alternative is not growing, not seeing, not accepting. And anytime you resist growth, the universe will debo you, okay? Into that growth, if that's what your soul indeed signed up for. If you signed up to evolve and to grow, but you're resisting certain things, the universe is going to debo, which basically means I'm going to put you in a situation where you have no choice but to face yourself. So, there is going to get done either way, but there is always a wu way. There is a more peaceful Zen way, a way of acceptance and compassion, right? And this is what I choose, because the first 40 years of my life, I chose the more difficult way. And I was very stubborn, and the universe was even more stubborn. And in my ego, I thought that I could be more stubborn than the universe. And it didn't happen like that. And so I went through so many harsh realities and rude awakenings. So I'm revisiting that. I'm going through a dark night of the soul, which basically means my soul is revisiting some of those dark moments to help me to integrate all parts of myself: appreciation, empathy for yourself, and compassion. Those three things right there will get you through dark night of the soul. It will get you through a depression. It will get you through some of the most difficult times in life. Those three things will absolutely sustain you. And as I am recording this, I'm having a family emergency right now. And I know that the logical mind would say, well, you shouldn't be working. You should not be channeling information about the eclipse coming up. And you got this dire situation, not one, but two happening to people very close to me. It took me a minute to decide that I was going to do this anyway. And the reason I'm doing this anyway is because we have the power to surrender, and we also have the power and the willpower to push through. Having the discernment, using your intuition to decide, is this a push through moment or is this a surrender moment? And for me, this was a push through moment, because the word and the emotions and the channelings, this transmitted message that keeps dropping into my heart, I can't ignore it, and I can't keep it all for myself. It's just too good to keep to myself. I know people will require this wisdom. So this is why I'm here with you right now. And I hope that you are able to be receptive and find something that is useful for you. Now, with all of this emotional negligence and abuse, we have become so hard on ourselves. We resort to creating fantasies to survive. A lot of us created fantasies around our relationships. And here comes Venus. Oh, Venus. Don't I love Venus? Because Venus went into retrograde, and as a Venusian goddess, I got that work. Let me tell you, I got put in the class, and I got a quiz every day that I came to class. And even on the days I did not come to class, I still got a quiz. The first week or two was really, really difficult because self-love is something that has been difficult for me. Venus in retrograde reverse engineered my coping mechanisms and just exposed everything for what it was. Every way I have ignored my body and what my body is saying to me. Every time my body was telling me no, and I'm telling somebody else yes, because I don't want to be seen as a difficult woman. That angry Black woman thing for a lot of us as Indigenous women, that's something that we subconsciously are afraid of being called or perceived as, because nobody wants an angry woman. But you add the angry Black woman stereotype to it, and it takes it to the next level. Even the media, we see mothers doing these really, really hurtful things, trying to discipline their children. And I mean, they're doing their best, because the way a lot of us got disciplined is definitely definitely a little crusty, a little crispy, a little crunchy. And so these stereotypes and this patriarchy, the pressure of society on women, I feel like with this Scorpio season as well, it's like liberation for women, liberation for the feminine, because fellas, you have feminine inside of you too, whether you know it or not. And working with this energy is actually the way out of these self-realizations that could oftentimes lead us to feeling less safe. Because sometimes you see yourself in a way you don't want to see yourself, and you feel unsafe because of the way you seeing yourself. You might snap on your kids and be like, I really did just sound like my mama or my grandmama or my daddy or my granddaddy or my uncle or whoever. And it hurts to see yourself that way. So what do you do when it hurts? What do you do when you feel the sting? Okay, because this scorpion stinger is very real right now. What are you going to do? Are you going to throw salt in your wound? Or are you going to find a way to be more loving, compassionate to yourself? Okay, so let me get into some of the astrology that I have used to channel this information. And it's funny because I do these channeled messages before I look at the astrology, and it always aligns with the astrology. Always. I know that's a black and white statement, and the new earth is kind of getting away from black and white, but no, always. For this one, it's always. And what that tells me is that we truly are the microcosm of the macrocosm. And so the astrological alignments are kind of like the syllabus to the story of your life. And you can make adjustments where you need to. Okay. Now, we have the nodes, right? Aries, North Node, South Node, Libra. Aries, the sense of self. This is oftentimes the personality we project into the world. And Libra is more so like, what type of balance do we use in our relationships? Everything is a relationship. However, Pluto is very active right now. And Pluto is just stripping us down, just stripping us naked. If something is not serving you anymore, if something is emotionally draining you and it's unnecessary, if something is causing your soul to feel disconnected from itself, yeah, you're going to feel that. And the ego is being challenged to melt, to allow itself to actually be a part of you, your whole experience, versus being compartmentalized. And so any false self mask, the facades that we use, you know that thing you do where you smile and you really crying on the inside? That thing. Yeah. You know that thing you do when somebody asks you, are you okay? And you're like, I'm fine. I'm fine. Why are you asking me that? I'm fine. Don't I look like I'm fine? That thing that we do. Yeah, all of that's being stripped away so that we can figure out who we really are. Because if you're not being who you really are, then you can't really challenge people to accept you for who you are because you're not presenting yourself as you really are. In order to do that, for those of us who are recovering from trauma and we know this, then you have to shift back into, okay, but who am I? And it's by observing yourself and doing the work and going within, spending more time alone. Some of us just need to talk less during this time. Use your conversational skills to talk to yourself and soothe yourself and inspire yourself and be positive and loving towards yourself. Otherwise, you might say something and it might sting, and that wound might develop into a festering sore. So you want to make sure that you are being mindful of what you're saying and the way that you are treating people and yourself. So on October 28th, gonna have this full moon. Gonna feel activated. This is another light code activation, a DNA activation, which basically means you're receiving information that has been trapped within your cellular system. Okay, so you might feel overwhelmed. For those of us who are empaths, overwhelmed with these astrological movements right here. Like, I get overwhelmed, and guess what? Overwhelm is not something I'm afraid of anymore, because I know how to make triggers my allies. And so when I am overwhelmed, I know it's time for me to get in my spiritual bag. I know it's time for me to focus on being with myself in a way that I'm proud of, right? You might not sleep as much. You might not sleep at all. You might just sleep a little bit. You might wake up, can't go back to sleep. That's okay. Whenever we are being drawn to expand our heart space and our consciousness, to allow the ego to melt, right? Melt. I like that. Like, we don't have to kill the ego. Ego, death. It just sounds so barbaric and savage and unnecessarily traumatic. Like, just let the ego melt, you know? Talk to your ego. Like, look, ego, I get it. You want to protect me, and you got a lot of stories that you create, and I be running with it. But I'm going to show you that you can trust me to listen to my heart. Yeah. We're going to do something different. So, ego, take a nap. Take out your knapsack. I'm going to cut the lights out and let you TKO for a little while. And let this moon illuminate those shadow areas. Now, this is also going to be bringing up maybe realizations about our shadow self, and it might really catch you off guard. Again, what are you going to do when that happens? This is the only thing that you really need to do to benefit from this. What are you going to do when that happens? If you don't know how to figure out what that is, then watch my videos and see the many different ways that I give for you to tap in, because I'm always making sure that I give some tips that you can use that are practical and tactical, and that you can break it down and make it spiritual. You know, it's already spiritual. You don't have to make it, but it's just acknowledging that this is a spiritual process. So what are you going to do about it? Where your tool bag at? I've been telling y'all to re-up on your spiritual supplies. If you're new, get your spiritual supplies ready, right? Because if you're noticing areas in your life where you have fear around being vulnerable, maybe not trusting yourself, maybe you are afraid to be disliked. That was a big one for me. I didn't want people to dislike me. It felt too risky to be disliked, because dislike meant going to hell at one point because of my religious beliefs. If God didn't like something I was doing and I didn't repent for it, I could go to hell for eternity, right? So the fear of being disliked could mean failing at school. these things stick with us as children, and you must integrate it. You can't just leave those wounds there and hope that they go away. This is what all of this is doing to help us see, like, okay, you got some things that you can benefit from working on. They didn't go away. Okay. So hopefully that you have noticed areas in your life and your relationships where you give your power away because you want people to like you, where you maybe hold your own self back. That was a big one for me. I was afraid of people feeling like I was trying to outdo them, or I was trying to be cute or perfect, or she thinks she all of that. Those things stuck with me. So I would dim my light and be small. Even my posture, I would be small around certain people. I didn't want to ever be appearing as a threat to people. I've had experiences where women didn't like me being around their men, and so I would try to carry myself as ugly as possible so it wouldn't be an issue, because I'd really never been the kind of woman that desired somebody else's man anyway, but for some reason this was projected onto me. These are one of the things with being a Venusian goddess too. We have these types of situations that happen that you really can't make logical sense of. And if people only knew the thoughts that I'd be having, because I'd be looking at them like, whew, child, I'm making sure that I pray for you, because you got a challenging one there. You definitely do. And it's funny because they'll think, I want that man. I can't change what other people think. So why am I trying to be liked? Why am I trying to play small? Why am I trying to not be my beautiful self, So yes, are you holding back, and where, right? That's going to be illuminated for you. If you've been putting yourself last or putting yourself second, you go feel it in your body. Your mind will be letting you know. This is that stuck energy that we think is a reason to get a road opener, and not saying it's not reasons, but sometimes we're holding those blockages in place. And so if you're in unhealthy relationship patterns, notice I didn't say relationships, because a lot of us are in relationships in situations where we just can't leave the relationship. Can we just keep it real over here? Because I know people probably feel really left out. Like, okay, I do notice some toxic patterns, but I'm not able to just end this relationship. And so many people just like, you need to end a relationship if it's toxic. And it leaves a large amount of people feeling like, what am I supposed to do then? Right? So I'm speaking to you with you in mind, because I can relate. I've been very, I'm an open book. And the more you heal shame, the more you become an open book. And I'm not afraid of people using my information against me, because you can't expose someone who is just showing up as themselves. What is there to expose, right? So I can relate to this, and it's more so we're being called to acknowledge the unhealthy patterns so that we can reach our highest potential, because connecting with your authentic self is going to require you to see the patterns that were created by the false self, feeling the emotions of the false self and the relationships that were created in that state of mind. For most of us in relationships, there's been in relationships since the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction and the return of the new galactic year, which happens. 2019 was the last galactic year. 2020 was the reset, according to the 13 moon Mayan calendar, Ethiopian calendar. Many ancients talked about this prophetic time. So if your relationship started before those things, 9 times out of 10, y'all created your relationship in your false self, not being fully authentic and wanting to feel safe, wanting to get away from some of the traumatic patterns. But you can't get away from them if they are unintegrated, unacknowledged, unaware parts of you. It's going to be everywhere you are, right? And it's beautiful that the universe is like, I'm not going to let you run from yourself. You said you wanted to love yourself, so I'm not going to let you run from yourself, okay? So by working with this energy, we can release what's no longer working in our relationships, especially around intimacy, feeling safe, security. A lot of women are in relationships where men don't feel comfortable with the new them. The old them is their comfort zone. What do you do when that happens? Do you sacrifice the new you? My apologies. Do you sacrifice the new you? Or do you trust that even if they're, just go back to the people pleasing thing and wanting to be liked, wanting to be loved, wanting to be accepted. But if you're sacrificing the new you that's coming in, and the new habits, the new values, the new beliefs, then you can't be mad at nobody else for treating you anything less than what you feel you deserve, because you're treating yourself less than what you feel you deserve. So the real focus to pass this test is, but how am I going to show up for me? I'm not going to connect this to somebody else's perception of me and say that the reason I don't show up for me is because of someone else's perception, or I'm afraid what they're going to say or do. That's living in fear, and that's actually going to remove the frequency of love from that relationship. So, a great way, I'm writing a whole guidebook about how to navigate this as you are going through these changes and transformations, because Scorpio is all about transformation. The eclipse is all about transformation. Pluto about death, new beginnings, transformation. Like, it's just so much. Okay. And so what you can do is just express, like, I'm going through transformations, and I lost parts of myself in trying to please everybody and trying to love everybody the way they needed to be loved, and wasn't really loving myself. And I'm discovering what I like, what I love, and what I don't. And I really would appreciate if you're able to just be with me in a non-judgmental way right now. Because I do trust that you love me. Unless you're dealing with the most concentrated form of narcissist, usually the reaction is going to be something at least neutral, or thank you for letting me know. Because sometimes they sitting and looking like they don't know what's going on, and they're afraid to say something to you about it. Okay? So this eclipse portal is going to be like a gateway into an alternate dimension where you can step into a new timeline. So something is going to end, something is being called to end, so something else can begin. So as these hidden things are being revealed, especially stuff that we keep from our own selves, by acknowledging it, then you can decide what's the next best move. And those decisions will be what opens up you to experience a new timeline, a new reality, which is ultimately what we call the new earth. That's a new reality. That's a new way of being. And when we change, everything else changes. You see, Michael had it right. He was like, look, I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways, right? Are you ready to change your ways? Because there is no message that can be any clearer. If you want to make the day a better day, truly take a look at yourself and make a change. Those words are fitting. If you into playlists for the energies, I love to create playlists for the energies. Maybe I'll start sharing some of those playlists with y'all. But I create a playlist for the energies so that the music frequency vibrationally attaches me to the timeline I desire to be on. It's such an easy way. It's really like this really beautiful hack, right? To jump into another timeline using music. That's probably why they love to own those masters. But we're not going to get into that on here, because that's what we do on Patreon. Okay? We're not going to get into that on here. But it's a lot of that on Patreon. That's your thing. Yeah, so yes, that's going to be happening. And so again, you might feel naked, you might feel vulnerable, you might just feel like where you at in life is just not supporting the person that you want to become, or the person you are already becoming. That's beautiful. You are being called to create a new sense of security. So a new sense of security would be, okay, what habits support the person that I want to become? If my younger self was following me, would I make this decision? Would I talk like this? Would I speak this way to myself? Would I eat this? Would I treat myself in a way that is going to cause my younger inner child self to feel uncomfortable? just try that one thing. I know I give y'all a lot of things that you can try. I am an overgiver. But try that and see what happens. Just the mere awareness of your inner child and the wounds that were invalidated and not healed will shift your frequency to be more loving, more intimate, more vulnerable, and not afraid to be authentic. Okay? And this helps you to be more conscious of your value system. What makes you valuable? You know, on the old earth, it was the stuff that we wore, our jewelry. It was the way we wore our hair. Those things made us more valuable, we thought. Our car, our house. Well, now the universe is so unstable. People are losing those material things left and right. So it's like, okay, when this is gone, what do you have? And if what makes you valuable is something no one can take away from you, you're in the sweet spot. And you can start to fall in love with yourself. Yeah, that's what I'm on. I want people to fall in love with themselves when they connect with my energy. Even if I'm pointing out stuff that people don't like to be pointed out, because this is what I do. You know, I swim through the abyss. And I'm a shadow collector, like a bone collector. I'm like the shadow collector, and I collect them, I study them, and I reverse engineer them, and then I share them with y'all. Okay, so tune it into this so that you can create your boundaries from the perspective of the new you. This is why I say new verse. Okay, you're writing a new verse to create a new universe for you to experience. Okay, so create some boundaries to protect this value system, because if you went and bought some really, really nice things for your kids, you're not going to leave the stuff in your car with the doors unlocked. You're going to make sure, you're probably going to check the locks 2 or 3 times. I need a sound effect machine. But you're probably going to do that a few times because you know what you have inside of your vehicle is valuable. Maybe the day before wasn't nothing in there but an old can of soda and a piece of paper. And an old cup of smoothie that you should have been threw away. And you might walk away and be like, ain't nothing in there for them to get. But then as you collect reasons to feel more valuable, you use more boundaries, right? To make sure nobody can take that. So what boundaries can you create to protect yourself? All right. And this is going to empower you. And some of us are going to learn how to say no if we haven't already. That's divinity in action. Your I divinity. I call the higher self I divinity, because the identity that we are shedding like skin, you know, that identity, it is the reason that there is a dent in our sense of self. That is the reason we feel wounded. So I call it I divinity because it's a play on identity, but it's the divine version of you. Now, with some of these themes, you want to ground, since this is Taurus energy, tune into the body, yoga, grounding, aromatherapy, smoke. Smoke is so divine. I mean, you can smoke your body, you can smoke things, clear out energy. We have the benzoin resin on sale. Y'all hear me keep talking about it. I keep talking about it over and over again because it has been so much of my process of grounding. Especially, can you imagine being an empath, highly intuitive, hyper vigilant, rarely ever felt safe, had every form of abuse that you could think of on a 3D matrix happen to you, and you are doing the kind of work that I do, exposing myself to other people's stories, their experiences, to help them navigate and transmute their own traumas, right? To turn their shadows into their supernatural power. So I have to do a lot of energy work and a lot of clearing. So if you thought that was just a marketing strategy, that's not what that is. I really believe that working with smoke, working with nature, working with the wisdom and ancient knowledge within trees, as trees are dying on the planet, Like acknowledging them, honoring them, including them as a part of ceremony is so grounding. Okay? So if you're feeling a little disappointed in yourself, maybe you catch yourself being inauthentic, being your false self. I do, and I do pretty often. Sometimes I laugh at jokes that's not funny. And I'd be like, why in the hell am I laughing at that? Like, what they gonna do? They gonna lock me up or something if I don't laugh at this joke? It happens so fast, and I'm like, okay, it's all right though. We ain't gotta beat up on ourselves about that. It's all right. So working with smoke helps you to change your brain wavelength, and you go into a more hypnotic, trance-like state of mind when you work with certain incense resins, whether it's frankincense or myrrh. But right now it's been benzoin for me. It's been the benzoin for me. And so yes, I want to offer that to you, and it's on sale. And we actually had some people win some free benzoin today for placing their orders. And so that could be you, so just do something new for yourself, invest in yourself, right? So if you are in a long-term relationship and you have noticed patterns that you have connected to your childhood, that's going to come up for you. How are you going to deal with it? Make sure that it's loving, empathic, and compassionate to yourself. You'll be okay. On the other side of this, you're going to be a better version of you. Okay? Take some time out to just remember, like, what matters to me? What is my why? If you don't know your purpose in life, focus on the why. Like, why should I even, let's remove should, okay? That's a word that I just don't like to use. It feels like pressure. But why am I doing this? Why do I want to hide who I authentically am? Why? Go into the why. And if you find at the root of why that there is fear of something, then this opportunity will be given to you to rise above that with more love to yourself, because these revelations go keep rolling. They not go stop. It's coming in because we sick of the stuff we see happening in the world, and we've been calling for change, and we are that change. Okay? So you could be way more in touch with yourself, with your values, about your relationships. Like, you don't have to project this on your partner. You don't have to make your partner like fit into the new narrative or the new you. Just focus on the new me, staying in the present moment. New me, stay. This is why I say that. For the new me, you're calling, you're conjuring, you're anchoring, you're grounding your new self. New me, stay. Stay in this moment with me. I know that you probably want to retreat. I know that you probably want to go into some type of coping mechanism, but stay in this moment with me. This is creating your own security. And when you start to do this and you get more in touch with these parts of yourself, and you learn how to navigate the terrain of your own psychological conditioning, what happens is you start to attract outside of you situations that reflect that. Okay? Now, are there any pitfalls? Being codependent. This is a collective codependency healing occurring. Being codependent is going to feel really terrible. You might even start to feel resentment afterwards towards the people that you feel trigger you into being codependent. That's a trap. That's a trap. If you're already in there, work your way out. Watch my videos if you don't know how, or go find your favorite self-help book or whatever spirituals you like to watch. Get it in and give that work to yourself. Give that love to yourself. Like, focus on you. New me, stay. What I can change, what I can control. Otherwise, you will start to feel suspicious with this eclipse. Just extra suspicious. I mean, of course, human beings can always be having some type of ulterior motive, or that's what codependency is. It's like, I'm not being authentic with you, but I really want something. I want you to like me. I want you to not be mad at me. I want you to accept me for who I am, but I'm not showing you who I really am to even give you opportunity to do that, because I really don't want to be disappointed, because I already be disappointed in myself. And you see why relationships are so difficult? This is not how life is meant to be lived, and this is our portal to a new timeline. So if things haven't been going well, using these tips are going to help you to be able to do that. You will not be able to be superficial. Fellas, for those of you who hide behind your money, your strength, your muscles, the way you look, all of the things that the masculine ego uses to try to feel good about themselves and be confident and connect with other people to try to get other people to want them, it ain't go work. Nope, nope. The universe is like, get it out of here. Get it out of here. It's doing a disservice to them. These people have a bright soul and a bright light to shine, and it ain't going to happen as long as they in this energy. Get it out of here. This soul said that in this incarnation, he was going to end these karmic cycles to step into his dharmic timeline. Get it out of here. He's not going to be able to be superficial. He's not going to be able to be fake. He going to get shut down. He's going to hear no. Maybe he got a partner who ain't never told him no, and she starts saying no, no, no. It helps to melt the ego, and you want that so that you can make real connection, so that you could stop functioning through life like you are only what you can do and not who you are. You're who you are, not what you can do. This is why when, the masculine ego deal with sickness or something like that, y'all usually try to hide it because you feel like it deflates who you are. And that's because you found all of your value in what you can do and not who you are. Okay. So, if you're feeling disconnected in your relationship, ask yourself, am I disconnected from my own body? How am I treating my own body? Am I stretching? Am I doing yoga? Am I exercising? Am I making sure that I breathe deeply and not shallow, which keeps me in the state of fight or flight and survival mode? Am I caring for my body? Am I resting when I need to rest, right? What am I feeding my body? Am I hydrating myself? You want to hydrate, Focus on that, because if you're feeling disconnected in your relationship, it's because you're not fully in your body. You're not fully connected with yourself. And for a lot of us who just came off this old earth and we're transitioning on the bridge to higher consciousness, that's a new thing. It's like, what? I'm supposed to focus on how I feel in my body. I'm supposed to actually take the time to deal with it. I'm not supposed to just push through and ignore it all the time. I'm not supposed to numb myself. I'm not supposed to turn everybody in my life into a narcotic. Oh, I'm not supposed to be coping and numbing and ignoring and avoiding. I'm supposed to actually be with myself and see what myself is asking me for and give it to myself. For a lot of us, that's new to us, especially those of us who develop codependent ways because of how we were raised. So it's just like, wow, I can focus on me. It's not selfish. No, it is not selfish. I am telling you, you got full permission to focus on you. And that is the most loving thing that you can do for someone that loves you. Even for somebody that don't love you. It's loving to love yourself always. That's another always. So this full moon is going to amplify your instinctual desires, your passions. At this time, you can feel as good as you would like to. Pleasure is going to feel even better if you're tapping into your body and really doing it. Some yoga could be cathartic, and you just tap into an emotional sense of well-being and bliss. And I had a moment where I just broke down in tears and cried. I've been working with my myofascial therapist. And a lot of times when I have breakthroughs within my body, emotionally, what's attached to that tension in my body, I never really know what it's going to be until I get there. And that's what this eclipse and this full moon energy is doing for us. So pay attention to what feels good and do more of that, as long as it's something that's healthy for you and beneficial, and pay attention to what doesn't. Pay attention to what causes you to feel confident and comfortable. Make a note of that. This makes me feel confident. I feel good when I blank. It's called fill in the blanks. I know I'm giving y'all a little bit of the guidebook that I'm working on, but fill in the blanks, FEEL. What is going on? It's just coming out. I guess it was meant for me to share this, but fill in the blanks, with your feelings. Just pay attention to your feelings to fill in the blanks. And that's a sneak preview of what's in the book. I don't know if anybody was sleeping on me, because sometimes I don't know how to put myself out there and all the marketing and it's just so much competition, quote unquote competition. There's really no competition because we're all on our individual sovereign journey. But the pressure of being a business woman, a spiritual entrepreneur, that pressure is through the roof right now, and I'm just not participating in it. So yeah, I'm just giving out free stuff just for the love of it. So fill in the blanks, okay? Break some rules. Break some of them rules. Some of them rules that we got, it would benefit us to break them. Do you have a rule of always, ignoring your emotions because you think that makes you more emotionally safe to be around? That's not true. On the old earth, maybe that worked. That was a working coping mechanism the ego created and it worked for you, but that's not true. So even if the emotions come out and they don't come out in the best way, you got to be able to accept that who is on the other end of that, they have a right to feel their feelings and respond how they're responding. Sometimes we become totalitarians and controllers, and we start to run our own personal government in our relationships the same way the government is doing it. But then when the government do it, we'd be like, oh, look at the government, they so. But like a lot of us treat ourselves even worse. That's the truth. So take the time out to focus on you, less on others, feeling your feelings and breaking some rules. Maybe it's time for you to honor your feelings. Put a do not disturb sign on the door. Tell everybody in the house, look, I need a little bit of time to myself. And just be with your feelings. You might need to get you some tissue and cry it out. You might want to go on a fast. Full moon, especially if the full moon is in your sun sign, you want to eat light or fast if possible. Because overwhelming the digestion during that time, you're getting all those activations, it can be a bit much. So yeah, this is a time of closure with the eclipse season and these portals. It is a time of closure and things coming to their fullness, so that you can release what no longer serves you. So just slow down. Confront stuff that you've been running from. Be less busy. Find ways to be less busy. Find ways to be more conscious. And you will thrive through this energy that's coming in. Embrace yourself. Just be true to you. You will find your soul tribe. You will connect with maybe that soulmate that you've been desiring. You will connect with that dream career, or that idea that you have of you're an artist or musician like this. I'm going to be all in my creative artist energy really deeply, because I know that this is going to be very impactful for me. So if you are an artist, tap into that as well. Tap into those creative juices. Get them juices flowing. Remember, I told you anything that brings you pleasure has the potential to bring maximized pleasure. Who don't want maximized pleasure and no risk? Come on now. Some of us just need a little bit of that, and we'll feel a lot better. When you're loving yourself and showing up for yourself, even if you're in a relationship that you notice patterns that are based in trauma, like, I don't know, it don't weigh you down, and it don't stop you from following your heart and being the best version of yourself. All right. So don't be afraid to identify what is exhausting you. What distracts you, I discovered some things that exhaust me, and I had been using as a distraction, and I didn't know, and it was my comfort zone. I did not want to let it go. And the universe was like, look, the universe was like, look, girl, look now, we're gonna do this the easy way, or we're gonna do it the hard way. It's up to you. I'm like, honey, give me easy. I'm healing with feminine energy, and I restarted the Goddess Womb Mentorship Program, which is called the Sacred Sister Circle. It has each year that I do this, I just go by what I'm being directed to do. And so, I have to lead by example, so that I'm not, again, operating in my false self, right? So this is a good time to see, like, am I overextending compassion? Am I overextending myself? Am I overworking myself? Is some of the things, ladies, is some of the things that I do for my kids and my partner really necessary? Can I take a break? Can I not cook sometimes? Can we just order out? Can I let him cook? It might not come out as good. It might come out fantastic. Let's just see. Life is meant to be lived. It's been monotonous. We do the same thing all the time. Remember, I said breaking out of routines. So try that and see, how that works out. And if you want to book a reading with me, I'm going to slide on right on into what's going to be said, because I know this was a lot. So in the reading, I will go through your Akashic record and give you customized things that you can do specifically for what you energetically need to support you. So I'm going to make sure that I put the link in the description. The readings are actually on sale. I could go another hour with y'all, but I'm not. I was on here way longer than I thought I would be. But I do have to tend to my family and what's going on. And again, this is about me being in integrity, being genuine, and leading by example. So I'm gonna, tend to my family and slide off here. But book that reading if you would like to work with me personally. And my right eye is jumping. That's good luck. I don't know. Are y'all where I'm from? That's good luck. So if it's something else where you from, I'm not owning up when that's good luck. My right eye jumping. And if somebody talking about me and they saying beautiful things about me, because this is the new verse and we're on the new earth, right? All right, y'all. Just wanted to let that soul light shine to you. What was your biggest takeaway? Let me know. And if you don't need a reading and you just want to see what I be talking about that's not allowed here, that's on Patreon for just $1. The link will be below. I'm gonna slide off because I could go another hour, but I'm not. But you can have me with you every day, and my perspective and my isms and just all of the stuff that come with being an Egyptian wind. That is me, Kamsen. So I love y'all. Namaste, namaste.